So Be'ez Hashem, we'll learn a little bit about this week's Parsha, this week's Parsha. The Zohar itself there's very little actually in the Zohar on this week's Parsha, Matos, but we'll talk an idea that's spoken about in many sources, a deeper understanding of it. So Matos, the story, the way the Torah describes the beginning of Matos is the Torah talks about the laws of Nedarim, the laws of making a vow, and the power of a vow. That the idea of a vow is that through taking an oath and saying that this thing is forbidden for me as something else, this object becomes a forbidden object to the person. Which means that the power of a vow, the power of a neder, is that through using speech, not only can we refrain from something and it becomes prohibited from us because of the gavra, that the person himself, that would be like a shvua, that's a type of swearing. But like the Gemara explains at the beginning of the Dharm, that when a person takes a vow, it's a isur chefsa, that the object itself becomes something that's prohibited, which means that the power of the vow, the power of taking a vow, is that we create new realities. So to understand how does that work? What power that we have through speech, that our words create reality, not only contextualize and not only give us a certain framework or a paradigm through which to think about reality, but it actually creates reality. That's the power of our speech. We should understand the power of speech. It happens to be also, it's important to understand that just like we have the power to create something through our speech, if a person takes a vow, there's also hafaras haneder, there's a possibility that a father or a husband and could undo a vow. And there's also charata. There's also the idea of the heter of a vow. There's to nullify the vow. That a chacham, the wise, or a particular chacham, or three people and one person is wise. The idea of that if it's possible that also a chacham could be oikes another. The het in the darm, the idea of the het in the darm is poichem av. The Mishnah says that the idea that a heter, that there could be a possibility of an annulment of a vow, is poiches ba'aver, which means it's floating in the air, which the Gemara explains. The chagiga means that there is no strong root, revealed, open, clear passage in the Torah itself that says it could be done. Even though there's a lot of ramazim, a lot of the verses that suggest that, two times it says heifer, and other sources that speak about the possibility. Because a neder comes from the power of bina, from nun, from the power of articulation, which is bini yaser, which is connected to the isha, to the woman. So therefore, a neder has the power to create, to formulate a new reality. But heter nedarim, the idea of to nullify the vow, is connected to the chacham, like a chacham or a av, which represents chachma, the idea of wisdom, the source, the root of speech, which is in the place of chachma, could annul the vow. Anyways, just to be clear and not to get into more details, that the idea of the vow itself is connected to bina, which is the articulation of a new idea, expressing a new idea. And to undo the vow, you have to go to a place where the root of sound is, which is the idea of chachma, the assimilation, the root cause, or the koyach hayuli, the potential of. Either way, the point is that through the power of a vow, which is that a person assumes a certain neder, a certain posture of vowing that this particular thing is prohibited, we have the power to create reality. So to understand what is the power of speech, that the power of speech is so strong that this innate ability to speak, to communicate, which we are a medaber, we're a creature of speech, this power has a creative power. Again, not only that we are prohibited from this object, but the object itself has a new definition. So this power to create through speech, abracadabra, so to speak, which is the Rabba Bora Gavra, that idea of creating through the possibility through speech, comes because of is rooted in our soul, is rooted in a creative aspect within ourselves, not in a creation aspect within ourselves, but in a creator aspect within ourselves. That gives us the power to be creative. when the Torah speaks about that man receives a soul, he nefesh chaya, the man is a living being, and he receives a nefesh. So the Targum translates, which is the original translation of the Torah. What is a nefesh? Is ruach hamalach. The nefesh means the power to speak. The power to speak is a divine like power because not only is speech a way of communication, which itself is a divine like quality, because it allows us to leave our space and enter into another person's space. It allows us to defy what's the definition of physicality, which means physicality is rooted in everything has its own dimension, its own space. And the more something is spiritual, the more it's connected to the spirit, the more it allows us to have a transcendence of that space. And the ultimate transcendence of space is through communication, which through communication, I can enter into your space and you can enter into my space. But even deeper, that the power of speech is actually to create, that we create reality. This power to create is comes because the entire process of creation comes through speech. That when the Torah describes the medium through which the creation emerges into being, the emergence of otherness from the place of oneness, the way the Torah describes this process is Vayomer Hashem. Hashem spoke. Asar Mars Nivra, the world was created through speech. Vayomer Hashem Yihar, Hashem said, let there be light, and there was light. B'dvar Hashem Shamayim Nasa, the world was created through speech. And speech, this vibrational, metaphysical vibration that's rooted in the Creator, is not only gives rise to creation, sort of the sound that allows for the vibrations that enters into this world and creates reality, creates this vibrational reality. But this process is continuous. This is what the Mukabbalim say, that when it speaks about La'olam Hashem Dvarcha Nitzvah Shemayim, La'olam means forever, your words are in heaven. That the words that Hashem said, Vayir Hashem Yihar, that the Creator said, let there be light, is continuous. That the process of creation is Mechadesh B'tuv V'choy Tomas. Hashem continuously creates this world, which means that not only is creation a one-time emergence into being, which Hashem says, let there be light, and there is light, and there's continuously light in this world, and everything that emerges from these 10 original utterances is another variation, another combination, another sirf, another way of forming these essential vibrational sounds that creates the entire reality. Not only was it set into motion in the beginning of time, or as when time is itself created, as time itself is created, the construct of time is created, but this is a continuous process, which means that the Creator is continuously speaking creation into being. Now, speaking creation into being, there are also two ways how to think about this. And that really is dependent whether we are a human being vested with a soul or not. There is a way that we can look at creation that it is a monologue, and there's a way that we can look in creation that it's a form of dialogue. Now, what's the difference? Everything in this creation that doesn't have the capacity to communicate and to verbally communicate and to be creative, certainly on the definition, on the way of a human being, is essentially in monologue with the Creator, which means that the Creator says, let there be light, or let there be a tree, or let there be a particular zebra. And every single thing in this world has an animating divine life force that's giving it structure and giving it meaning, and giving it a life. Every single thing in this creation is exactly an expression of its original sound. The Creator says, "Let this be a particular zebra or an ant," and this ant is exactly an expression of the divine expression of being an ant. It's anting itself constantly. It's treeing itself constantly. It's a direct expression of the divine animating force that gives it life. So it's a recipient of the divine life, but the divine life just flows through it. It's not in conversation with the divine life force. It's in monologue with the divine life force, because the divine life force says, "You shall be an ant," just as a metaphor, and the ant is being an ant. You shall be a tree. The divine the combination of the tziruf of these sounds of the original 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet in the many different forms that comes out originally in the ten utterances, which obviously corresponds to the ten imris that are expressed through tibur, through speech. That everything that's this created world is in a sense a monologue, which is it's a recipient of the divine light, and the divine light is expressed itself through it without any hindrance, and it's absolute. The just like the light, the word of Hashem says, let there be light. The same thing the word of Hashem says, let there be this particular animal or that particular animal or that particular thing or that other particular thing. The human being, which is vested with the power of speech, which is the power of communication, which we said that the human being that has a nefesh chai, has a living spark, a soul, something that is extraordinary beyond the world of creation, but part of the world of the creator, because it could create, like we said before, with the idea of a vow that it's actually creating reality. The human being, in its relationship to the creator, is not in the form of monologue, but it's in the form of dialogue. What's the difference? In a monologue form, you are just the recipient of the divine light, which divine light animates you and creates you and expressed through you, and you have no participation. It's just coming through you. It's the idea of Hashem is a moishel. Hashem is a ruler, and the light flows through this object or this subject. Human beings, which are vested with the power of speech and the communication, are in divine dialogue. Just like the Creator speaks us into being, we receive life the way we receive it, and we're in dialogue with the Creator, which translates and understand is that when we look at the world, think about this more in terms of our way of being in this world. We look at this world. One way to look at this world is that things has happened to us or at us. And even if a person is a spiritual person and a person has a sense of that they're in relationship to the creator, and there is a creator, and the creator is even speaking to them, there's one way to relate to this, that it's a monologue. It's this is the what is, and you just have to receive it. Life just happens. Whatever is happening to you just happens, and you just have to be accept what's happening, because that's the will of the creator, and you're just a recipient. So Hashem is kaviyachol, Hashem is speaking to you, but Hashem is through the world, and Hashem, the creator, is always speaking to us. This idea that the creator only spoke to us in a certain period of time and stopped is not true. It's just a different way of Hashem speaking to us. Sometimes in times of old, in times of prophecy, Hashem spoke to us through a transcendent experience, and now there's some level even more maturity, even though on level it's a little lower, but there's an understanding that Hashem is constantly talking to us, is speaking to us through the life that's emerging constantly in front of us. Whatever is emerging in front of us, Hashem is talking to us through those experiences. But again, that's the question is, how are we receiving those experiences? Are we receiving them in the form that is happening to us, and not only to us, maybe even for us, but we're just the recipient of those events? But then, if we go a little bit deeper and we understand that life is actually dialogue, that Hashem is not just talking at us, but it's talking to us, because we're human beings that have the capacity to understand and to be in dialogue with the Creator. Then we understand that Hashem is not just talking to us and maybe for us and guiding us in a sense to evolve, but Hashem is also having a conversation with us. And all the world, the expression of the divine is being expressed through all of creation. Every single moment that we're alive, we're in constant dialogue with the Creator. Hashem is talking with us through His creation, and we just have to be aware, cognitive of this experience, to just understand that when life is happening and things are rising in our consciousness, and the things that we see and the things that we hear and the experience that we have every single moment, day to day, is that Hashem is actually talking to us, with us. And the idea of Hashem talking with us in dialogue means I'm receiving what I'm receiving in this world. And Hashem says, okay, here's what I'm giving you. This is the day that I'm offering you. And I want you to participate in this. And I want you to feel any sense of powerlessness, that you're just a recipient of something, or feeling like a victim, if you wish. That this is life. That this is Hashem saying, "This is what the world is now for you. This is what I'm giving you right now." That's true. This is actually what Hashem wants from us to receive it. But then Hashem wants us to pray. What's the idea really of davening, which is ultimately the idea of dialoguing with Hashem, with the Creator? If prayer, if um, if um, if if learning Torah is a way to receive sort of the word of Hashem, we talk back to Hashem, with the Creator through tefillah. Tefillah is an act of dialogue. We're saying, Hashem, you said this person should be sick, or I am experiencing difficult with my financial situation, and this is the reality that's presented to me, and this is what Hashem, you say you want it to be in my life. And then we say, it's true, but Hashem says, I want more from you. There's a mitzvah that I want from you, is to daven, to pray, which means I want you to say, Hashem, I need parnasa. Baruch Alei Shana Zos. I need parnasa. I need livelihood. I want you to be in dialogue with me. I want you to say, okay, I accept it, and from a higher level of awareness, everything's exactly the way it is, and it's perfect, and that's true. But that's in the form of monologue. But in the form of dialogue, I want you to participate. I want you to tell me, and what do you think? And it's not a chutzpah, because technically it would be a tremendous audacity to say that. But it's actually a mitzvah. Hashem invites us. I'm inviting us to have a conversation with Him, as if to have a conversation with the Creator. And that's the way we participate in life. Participation in life is that we're not just aware that Hashem is monologuing with us, but we recognize that Hashem is dialoguing with us, is giving us experiences, showing us things. And we have to say, so what is that thing teaching me? What is it telling me? How could I learn from it? And once I open myself up to that idea, and I'm experiencing it, and I'm truly integrating it, and sometimes saying, this thing is not okay. This person is sick, and I don't feel comfortable with this person being sick. I accept that that's the will of Hashem, and that's the level of the monologue relationship. But I also know that Hashem gave us this vested power to be creative, to create life, and that's part of the process of praying. Part of the process of praying is we're creating new realities in dialogue with the Creator, and that's the ultimate idea of recognizing, of being aware that life is a dialogue. Life is a dialogue, constant dialogue. It's a dialogue within our own selves. It's a dialogue with interpersonally, between people and people. There's always an I and a thou. I'm always in encounter, in a dialogue with other people, not just receiving from other people, but creatively participating in conversation with other people, and creatively participating with life in general, with the entire life that's being presented to us by the Creator at every single moment, to participate in our experience, and to evolve in our experience, and to assimilate the experience, and to be in constant dialogue with Hashem at every single moment. And that's an idea that's expressed in the Zohar, expressed by the Arizal, expressed in Chassidus, the idea of being as life as dialogue, not just as monologue. Hashem Melech.